The moment you detach, not out of anger, but out of truth, not to punish, but to preserve, that's when the mirror turns. That's when she finally sees the king she was too blind to honor. This ain't about getting her back. This is about getting you back. Back to your peace, back to your power, back to the God in you. So take a breath. You didn't lose her. You're just finally remembering you. It's holy. Take a breath, beloved. No, deeper than that. Not the kind of breath that sits in your chest, but the one that reaches your belly, that opens the door to the tears you've been hiding behind that strong face. Because I know you're tired, not just tired in your body, but tired in your soul, tired of explaining yourself, tired of shrinking, tired of giving chances to people who wouldn't even pray for you if the sky fell. You've been holding on to a love that keeps dropping you. And I see you gripping it harder every time it slips through your hands, convincing yourself that if you just give a little more, compromise a little deeper, forgive a little faster, she'll finally see you. She'll finally come correct. But hear me now, baby. You cannot force someone to value what they've grown too familiar with. You cannot make a woman respect a man she knows won't leave, no matter how many pieces he breaks into. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying this to unearth you. Because somewhere along your journey, you forgot that your presence is sacred, that your love is a covering, that your loyalty is legacy. You started treating yourself like an option in your own story and calling that humility. That's not humility. That's abandonment, and you've been doing it to yourself for years. See, this ain't just about her. This is about you. This is about every boy in you who never saw a man walk away from what disrespected him with dignity. This is about every time you watched your father beg for love through silence. Every time your uncle drank away his pain. Every time the men around you either raged or retreated, but never stood still long enough to feel the grief of losing themselves. You've been taught to fight for love, but never taught how to fight for yourself. You've been trained to pursue, but never taught how to let go when that pursuit is killing your peace. And the truth is that woman can't hear your pain anymore. You've cried in front of her, begged in front of her, performed in front of her, but she doesn't see it. Not because she's heartless, but because she's full of control, full of assumptions, full of power she never earned, power you handed over every time you ignored what you needed to keep what you wanted. But let me offer you a sacred truth. Sometimes love has to walk away so it can return with reverence. And sometimes, beloved, it doesn't return at. But either way, you win, because this version of you, the one who's quieted his voice, silenced his anger, smiled through betrayal, he's done his job. He kept the peace. He held the hope. He did what he could with what he knew. But now it's time to bury him with honor, with prayer, with tears. It's a man who's rising. He don't chase. He don't beg. He don't bend his truth to fit into someone else's delay. He attaches not to hurt, but to heal, not to run, but to rise, not to punish her, but to remember himself. Let me tell you something sacred. When you stop calling her, stop explaining, stop checking to see if she noticed your absence, something shifts, not just in her, but in you. Your spirit straightens its spine. Your mind clears. Your chest expands with the breath of a man who knows he didn't lose her, he chose him. And beloved, that is the kind of self-love that breaks generational curses. That is the kind of clarity that reaches backward and heals the little boy who didn't know what worth looked like. That is the kind of courage that teaches your sons and your nephews, this is how a man loves himself. You are not here to be tolerated. You are not here to be a placeholder. You are not here to wait on a woman to one day wake up and decide that you're finally enough. You are already enough. Not because of what you do, not because of how you try, but because you are here, because you carry light, because you carry wisdom, because you were formed in fire and still choose to love anyway. But love without boundaries is self-harm in disguise. Ocean and calling that devotion only leads to spiritual bankruptcy. So let me ask you this from the deepest place in your soul. What would happen if you stopped trying to convince her to love you and started loving you instead? What would happen if you stopped showing up uninvited? Stopped answering calls that disrespect your silence? Stopped performing for a role you were never cast in? I'll tell you what would happen. The atmosphere would shift. Not just around you, but within you. You would start to see how your energy has been a gift, not a given. You would start to notice how you've been pouring rivers into someone who was never thirsty. You would start to realize the moment you detached, the moment you stopped reaching, that's when she finally had to sit in the emptiness she created. And if she returns, it won't be out of convenience, it'll be out of clarity. Because the only thing more powerful than a man who loves a woman is a man who finally remembers how to love himself. So breathe, beloved. Cry if you need to, pray if you must. But don't you dare go back to the version of you that needed her to see you just so you could see you. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need closure to move. You don't need to be understood to be free. You just need to choose you fully, quietly, sacredly. Because when you detach with love, with clarity, with truth, you are not walking away from her. You are walking home, to your peace, home to your purpose, home to the God in you who's been whispering all along. This is not where your soul belongs. Now stand up, straighten your crown, and walk, not in anger, not in revenge, but in remembrance, because your absence, when rooted in self-respect, will speak louder than 1,000 explanations ever could. And one day, when she sits alone in the silence you left behind, she'll finally hear it. But by then, you'll be gone. Not bitter, not broken, just free. I'm closer now. It's just for a moment. Let the world hush. Let the noise fall away. Let the ache in your chest be still. This is sacred ground now. This is not a speech anymore. This is a return. Beloved, you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to carry love like a cross on your back, dragging your worth behind someone else's delay. You have cried enough. You have begged enough. You have given the kind of loyalty that would make the ancestors weep, and still it was not received. But hear me, deep. That does not mean you are unworthy. It means it is time to gather yourself and to rise in the quiet, time to pull your spirit back from every place you left it behind. In the text you never got an answer to, in the nights you waited for someone to show up different, in the silence you mistook as peace. Called all back now. Call you back now. Say it out loud if you must. I forgive myself for staying past the truth. I forgive myself for making someone else my mirror. I forgive myself for thinking I had to be chosen to matter. And now I choose me. Not because I'm angry, not because I'm heartless, but because I remember now I am sacred. I am a whole world. I am not something you earn after breaking me. I am someone you honor before you ever touch me. You see, love without self is just survival. And you, beloved, were not born to survive love. You were born to embody it, to radiate it, to offer it from overflow, not from sacrifice. So tonight, or in the stillness of whatever hour, your heart hears this. Lay the performance down. Lay the people-pleasing down. Lay the illusion that someone else's presence is your salvation down, and instead wrap your arms around the girl inside you who only ever wanted to be seen. Hold her, rock her, tell her she doesn't have to wait anymore. Tell her she doesn't have to chase anymore. Tell her she can rest now because you came back for her. This is your healing. This is your rebirth. This is your sacred return to truth. The truth that says, I am not disposable. I am not invisible. I am not too much. I am the exact amount of fire, softness, wisdom, and power that God handcrafted for this world. So rise, woman. Wipe your tears, but don't hide them. They were holy. They were honest. They baptized the pieces of you that forgot, and now you remember. Now you know. You do not beg for what you are. You do not wait for someone to wake up to the sunrise that is your presence. You do not silence your soul to fit into someone's fear. You bless them. You release them. You whisper, thank you for teaching me where I end and where God begins. And then you walk away with grace, with your head held high, with your spirit unclenched, and with your name written again on your own heart. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a love that no one can take because it is not outside you anymore. It is within you. It is you. So go now, not searching, but remembering, not hoping, but embodying. And may every step you take from this moment forward be prayer, be a reclamation, be a return to the truth that never stopped waiting for you. You are already whole. And now you know it. Amen. They say. And so it is.